Thank you, Dave Deep. We're going to move on now to hear from Vladimir Yatsenko, who's going to speak on the topic of um, karma yoga, a key to the sustainable society of the future. Oh, sorry. Dr. Vladimir Yatsenko is the director of the Institute for Applied Research and Integral Studies at the Sri Aurobindo Integral Life Center. Vladimir holds a master's degree in general and theoretical linguistics and Sanskrit language and literature from St. Petersburg State University, and a PhD in Indian philosophy from MS University of Baroda. So we welcome Dr. Yatsenko.
Thank you. I wanted, of course, to join the party to the discussion of Auroville because I'm myself from Auroville. I lived there 27 years. And of course, I went through all those ordeals and discoveries and subjectivism, false subjectivism, true subjectivism. And would like also to highlight one thing as a link to my presentation. When people, first residents of Auroville came to the mother and they said, you know, we need some guidelines, whom to accept and whom to reject. How would we know who is right for Auroville and who is not? And you know what she answered? As long as there are no guidelines, there is still a hope. So everyone subjectively has to find the truth and join the others. We all know what is good, what is right, but our dogmatic mind separates us from others. Then she said, if you want to really understand others, you have to rise above your preferences, above your context of understanding, high above. And from there, try to see what others want to say, what they are looking to express, not what they are saying, but what they want to say. And if you catch that, you can communicate. So this is the guidelines for true subjectivism. We have to overcome our own preferences, rise above our own context in which we live. That's why we never communicate. We think we understand each other. We speak from our own context and take it into our own. That's basically where communication ends. But today is a more exciting topic, and it's about psychology, karma yoga. The message of the mother, the last message of the mother to Aurovillians was, Auroville is created to realize the ideal of Sri Aurobindo, who taught us the karma yoga. It is for those who want to do the yoga of work. To live in Auroville means to do the yoga of work. So all Aurovillians must take up work and do it as yoga. Take up work and do it as yoga, as the means for self-discovery. So all the activities have to be changed, to be turned into the educational for self-discovery and self-finding. And not for the sake of livelihood or earning money or, gaining some, aims in the future and building some business. It's not about that. It's about learning about yourself. And that's why she wanted to create this environment. And by the way, her idea was to have 50,000 people because this would give the world the opportunity to be in sync with this place. So to say, it would become contagious for the world and the world would change in the occult sense. 50,000 real, true Aurovillians would change the whole world because this would be the true self-example for the world, how to follow. So I want to start with the problem. the curse and the blessing of labor. And this is kind of important for the sustainable society. So the whole idea of labor, this is my text, being difficult is found in the Bible already. You remember when Yahweh cast Adam and Eve from paradise, he curses them. And he says that by the sweat of your face, you will eat bread until you return to the ground. And in pain, you will bring your children, and in blood, you will, all that he cursed the laborer. And from there, it seems that that imprint is still in our psychology, that the labor is difficult, sweating, working hard to earn your bread. This is how we take the labor. So this belief that the labor is cursed generated or created this concern that giving less and taking more is the right way to go. You have to work less and to get more. That's the success. You're successful in business. You pressed right buttons on the computer and you got millions coming. This is the business. This is clever. You did work right. But where that extra will come from? Yeah? Somebody will have to produce it, to generate it, to sweat for it, and you just redirected it with your cleverness. So this is not the way to go ahead for the sustainable society as we understand. We can see where it leads us. So we need another model where everyone works for all and all for everyone, where work is a means for self-realization. This is the subjectivism. True subjectivism has to join the activities outside in the social setting. This type of society, we believe, is impossible without a conscious practice of karma yoga. That's why the last message of the mother was to practice karma yoga. Auroville was meant to be this model, where all the activities would have first and foremost educational value and purpose. Even businesses, even production units had to have that value, that people who work there, they are building themselves through the work. And what they produce belongs to the society. It is not for the sake of production, but for the sake of self-finding. Yes, the blessing of labor. It's quite interesting. If in the Semitic tradition we find the curse of labor, in a Vedic tradition we find the blessing of labor. What Krishna says, Yat karosh, yad ashnasi, yad juhoshi, dadasi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva mad arpanam. Whatever you are doing, says Krishna, in the secret knowledge, in the 9th chapter, eating, sacrificing, giving, or focusing your energy upon as your own goal, Osana Kunti, of Kunti, make it as an offering to me. The consciousness of the Supreme has to shine through the activities which man is doing, through that offering, through that connection. And this is the blessing. This is the real, true subjectivism in action. So I wanted to highlight several approaches, several attempts in Indian tradition which were made to achieve that goal. First is approach in the Rig Veda. In the Rig Veda, as you know, there are creatures, Dasyus, Danavas, all these demons, so to say. There are Vritras, there are Valas, there are Shushnas, there are many of them of different kind, and they all resist the change, the divine intervention of light. And one type of these is Panis, and Sri Aurobindo gives the whole article on them. Panis are the dwellers in the subconscious cave. They are the robbers and the traffickers and the traders of stolen and hidden riches. When they wake up, They steal the light of the divine illumination and store it in the subconscious cave. It's a subjective. These panis, he says, these are the senses of action or organs of action, karmendriyas in the later language. Those of you who studied Indian philosophy most probably know about them or studied Sri Aurobindo's Secret of the Veda. I do not know how many people are aware here of these things. No? Am I out of sync? No, it's okay. So Angiras Rishis, those great forefathers who are still there, luminous beings, with the help of Indra, the Lord of the Divine Mind, Brihaspati, the Lord of the Divine Word, break the wall where the riches are. Vala, the wall is Vala, interesting, yeah? And release the treasures, and new dawn is born, and new sun, new heaven. The herds of the sun are released from the darkened cage. When Sarama, the hound of heaven, as a symbol of intuition, discovers the hidden treasures in the cave, panis, those organs of action, I will come to them in a minute, who they are, try to bribe her. But she rejects their offer and tells them that Indra is her master and he cannot be corrupted. So Indra will come, she says, and will destroy you. Interestingly enough, Sri Aurobindo says that panis represent 5 major karmendriyas, yeah? The power of the self-expression, the word, the hands, the legs, procreatory and excretory organs. If you look at all of them in Sankhyaik terms, you will see that all of them are connecting our body to the outside. Speech connects us, we communicate to other bodies. Hands, we reach out, yes, to touch, to grab, to give. Legs are connecting us by our motion to some other people. Procreatory organ, we procreate the same being, we cast the seed from which another being comes, we continue our generations. Our offspring lives from us. We also cast it into the world, and excretion is everything what we don't need in the system also casts out. So everything what relates to the outside are these panis, these subtle senses which grew up from the inconscient and build up their own world. And they are in contradiction with the inner perception, with our jnanendriyas. In what contradiction is when we get some inner light or some inner perception in meditation. The karmendriyas become still. Did you notice that the whole yoga was organized about this? So to become totally still, to close your eyes, to look within, to stop thinking, to stop even breathing. Why? To reach deeper inside, to receive deeper perception of oneself, true perception of oneself. The moment you start moving, hands, speaking, walking, then you lose the inner connection. So we can be either perceptive within or active without. This is the dilemma of ourselves. We cannot be both for some reason. It's very difficult for us. So karma yoga offers a solution for this, that we can be active and perceptive at the same time. The true subjectivism is possible after all. But it is a psychological exercise which we all have to do. Yeah. So approach in the Rig Veda, I already spoke about. I'm moving in the right and the wrong direction. In the Upanishads, Sri Aurobindo, it's 15 minutes, yes? In the ancient conception of the universe, Sri Aurobindo says, our material, it's about Upanishads, our material existence is formed from the 5 elemental states of matter, the ethereal, aerial, fiery, liquid, and solid. Everything that has to do with our material existence is called the elemental adhibhuta. We will have to use these terms for a while. In this material form of 5 elements, there move non-material powers, manifesting through the mind force and life force that work upon matter, and these are called gods or devas. Everything that has to do with the working of non-material in us is called adhidaiva, that which pertains to the gods. These gods are nothing but the faculties of consciousness, our speech, our breath, our sight, hearing. This is mind, thought, feeling in bodily sense. These are the annam pranam chakshushrotram manovacham iti. It was mentioned from Bhrigu by Devdeep. Oh, sorry. But above the non-material powers, containing them greater than they, is the self or spirit, Atman. And everything that has to do with this highest existence in us is called the spiritual, Adhyatma. So this is the innermost being. So Adhyatma is in the center. It is our true subjective self, unborn self, as it were. Adhidaiva are our faculties of the mind and vital. And Adhibhuta is the surface, the periphery, the body, the 5 elements. So we can turn either without, as we usually are. We turn our senses without or within. When we turn within, we forget without. When we turn without, we forget within. So how to connect these two, that we will be inwardly perceptive and outwardly active? This is the dilemma of karma yoga. It's not a small task. It's a great achievement if we could really achieve this. So Sri Aurobindo speaks that there are 2 mutually complementary movements. In one, the inner being comes to the front, and impresses its own normal motion on the outer consciousness, to which they are unusual and abnormal. The other is to draw back from the outer consciousness and to go inside into the inner planes, enter the world of your inner self, and wake in the hidden parts of your being. This has to be done. When that plunge has once been taken, you are marked for the yogic, the spiritual life, and nothing can efface the seal that has been put upon you. Interesting, yeah? Once the plunge was made, once the contact was created, you cannot refuse it afterwards. You will be always driven by that. You can't escape. You're caught by the spirit. So technology of karma yoga in the Gita is amazing. The whole section of 6 chapters are dedicated to karma yoga in the Gita, as you know. So I wanted to show these 3 levels by which Krishna recommends us to find ourselves through action. Not bypassing, not leaving action and going into meditation. It's possible. But then you have to stop acting. Can we act and find ourselves? That is the question. You have the right to action, but not to its fruit. It's the first major beginning of karma yoga. For all results belong to the divine, as we know. Yeah? This is a psychological freedom from egoistic motivation. It doesn't mean that you should not plan. You should plan. You should envision everything. You should do as it should be done. But psychologically, you have to be free from the fruit of action. From that fruit should not motivate you to act. It's very difficult to understand when you are listening about this, hearing this for the first time. But when you start practicing, you will see that it has a great advantage. So, this freedom from egoistic motivation necessary to remove the first layer of separation of the inner and outer. Because once I am determined by the result, I already separated from the inner. I cannot really have that, so I have to remove that first veil. The second liberation, one must be free from the preferred modality of action. It's not the way I like. This is I know how to do it. Yeah, I will do it this way because I like it, because I know it, and that way I don't like and I don't want. Yeah? No, I have to be free from that modality. Choosing my egoistic modality of doing things. I have to take any possible modality. Try every way of doing things. Discovering truth in a new fashion. Reinventing bicycle in a new way. Finding hundreds of other bicycles, yes, and creating them. This is the freedom which has to be done also. So to be free to explore all possible modalities and ways of action, and not only those that are convenient or preferable to us. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Yoga is known as equality. Equality in every possible relation to all modality. So if you receive a negative result, you are equal. If you receive positive, you are not jumping to the skies that you finally did it. Yeah? There is no psychological involvement. Doesn't mean that you should do something else. You do the same, but you're psychologically free. And the last one, and the most important, one has to become free from the idea of actor while acting. For all the actions are done by nature, Prakriti, and not by us as the soul, Purusha. Purusha stays as a witness. And you see how Prakriti beautifully arranges everything. Brings you here, puts you into the aeroplane. Aeroplane is flying, I'm coming here, meeting you. It's like a miracle, you know. Prakriti did everything so wonderfully. And you just observe it and wonder what else she can do. So these are the elements which I will maybe here, one more element and the last, and that is the approach in integral yoga and Sankhya. I will skip, but these are the Karmendriyas and Jnanendriyas, which I wanted to mention, but I already spoke about it. I will go straight to Savitri. In Savitri, when Satyavan meets Savitri, he confesses to her this truth. I looked upon the world and missed the self. And when I found the self, I lost the world. My other selves I lost, and the body of God, the link of the finite with the infinite. The bridge between the appearance and the truth. The mystic aim for which the world was made, the human sense of immortality. In the integral yoga, Sri Aurobindo offers us to Pavitra. He says, Pavitra asks him, how should I proceed? When I'm in meditation, I have the contact, I have the presence. But when I start being engaged with the outer world, then I lose that connection. And Sri Aurobindo says, you go slow. You keep the connection and do some kind of mechanical work. Not too much engaging. Keep the connection. Try to enlarge the presence of the connection through the activities. That's why Mother gave to many people in the ashram to wash dishes. To the great professors and doctors, they were standing there Mandir, 12 petals. sincerity, humility, gratitude. Practice these, and they will lead you to karma yoga. Thank you.
Good morning. In the beginning of your presentation, you talked about the mother and the mother's hope and expectation that Oroville and the work that was done in Oroville would be contagious and would change the world. Firstly, did Mother give any indication as to how this would happen? Secondly, what evidence can we look to show that the work in Oroville is in fact contagious and is either changing or beginning to change the world? Thanks.
Well, provocative question, yes. There is a friend of mine, Asta Patel, some of you may know her. She is the old karma. She even read Sri Aurobindo, his own Savitri. So she was playing the role. And she says, Oroville is a strange place. It seems that it helps humanity by collecting all difficult cases from the world to put into one place. So it may give you a perspective of what it means to be in Oroville. First of all, it is given, full freedom is given. You can express yourself the way you want, and then you can imagine what can come up from the undercarpet. Yeah? Everything else, all those subjective movements, unregenerated feelings, emotions, desires, dogmas, everything pops up and everybody is right. And there is no way, no criteria to judge it. So that is false subjectivism in full-fledged. And we have to overcome that stage. We have to go through it, to learn from it, what it means. And that's what I think Oroville is going through. Present will be there, working. It will create necessary resonance for the world to catch up. It's something we don't know. Yeah, it's Mother's vision.
Thank you, Vladimir. Yeah, it's very nice how you actually parsed out the Gita in terms of the way by which the Karmendriyani are connected with the Adhyatmika. In another place in Synthesis of Yoga, Sri Aurobindo is pointing to the 3 steps of the Karma Yoga. And they're similar to the ones you said. The first step is getting rid of the fruits of one's desire. That's the first step. The fruits belong to the divine. They don't belong to you. And that breaks the backbone of the ego. So the second step is to know that you're not the worker, that the work is being done in you, and you're not really the worker. In that case, he's saying the third step is to realize that the Divine Mother is working in everything. She's the only worker in the world.
This is Sri Aurobindo, yes, beautiful.
But I think you introduced a really important second step, and your interpretation, as I see it, of that phrase, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, as the dynamic praxis of equality in activities. That's one of the ways in which this true subjectivism can express itself. So I wanted to appreciate that. Do you see that as something that sequence, specific sequence, is it your interpretation or is it something directly yours?
I think I found it in the Gita. Truly speaking, it is crying out from there. So maybe Sri Aurobindo brought, of course, the Divine Mother at the end. It is integral yoga. We don't find the Divine Mother in the Gita directly. But I was wondering about that all my life. Where is the Divine Mother? Why there is no Divine Mother in the Gita? But then once I went to the bookstore in Chennai, maybe you know that, forgot the name anyhow, and I took the children's book Gita and I opened and it is written, Gita is the Divine Mother. And it was to me, oh, the divine word is the mother. So in a way, there is no contradiction in that sense. But yes, not to have that understanding that, because when I remove myself from the fruit of action, I am free psychologically to engage freely, to do many things. Yes, so I can, but now what comes in is that modality. I learned this way. I want to be this. I don't like doing gardening or, but I have to like to do everything in every way. And this is something which stops us to the final stage where you see that you are not the actor. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a nice quotation from the mother. Where she says, "It is good to do what one likes. To like."
I'm a friend of Oroville.
Mm.
I'm also board of trustees at CIIS. And I'd like to ask you your perspective of CIIS's role with Oroville and how we're going to be moving in the future, just whatever you'd like to share.
Well, I hope for much development, yes. We have to come together. Oroville cannot do it by its own. It needs the world to support knowledge, especially knowledge. Because people who came first comers, they were building the forest. They were building the ground, and they kind of got stuck to that level. They live in that forest, which is absolutely necessary. I'm not saying it's not. It's a part of the whole ecological system which has to be built. But it is not the We have to move forward to the city. We have to bring the university, higher knowledge, mental knowledge, which usually first comers deny. Yes, they don't want. They say, "Oh, it's mental. It's all mental. I have a feeling," but that feeling is a lower knowledge. It's not higher. It's not really true intuition. Yeah, it goes down to the vital, and then all those other things come in and people suffer quite a lot. Knowledge, bring knowledge, studies, build a university. You are talking about CIIS. Yes, we ourselves have a project which we want to join with you. It's La Grace Integral Life Center, Sriaurobindo Integral Life Center, and I'm also having the Institute of Applied Research in Integral Studies, which things we want to take a historical depth of consciousness which is needed, because Sriaurobindo is not just a new thing which appeared in 20th century and that's it. He constantly refers to the Vedas, to Upanishads. You know that till the last moment he was translating the Rig Veda. In his diary, you could find that Rigvedic verses he was still working on. He stopped doing everything, but Rig Veda he was still looking into. Why? Why Rig Veda is so important? We have, by the way, courses online, Hymns to the Mystic Fire, Upanishads. You can check with La Grace. La Grace is the mother's name, The same idea, to connect East and West. One foot, but in the right direction of development. Not back to the forest, not back to those basics which were there established already, but moving forward. And not excluding people, not hunting them down, not canceling visas, nothing of the kind. People have to feel at home, or they feel not at home. Then they live by themselves. But we have to generate that culture, of discovery. Yes.
Yeah, in the context of Vaishali's question, one thing came to my mind that when I entered Sri Aurobindo Center in Los Angeles, I saw a framed mother's saying, Auroville, her handwritten Auroville, and that was 1939, which was before Auroville started. So I'm wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on if Auroville is that idea which has its good grounded roots in Auroville itself, but it also is blossoming everywhere, or is supposed to blossom.
This question I had to many people, and I would ask you also to really reflect upon this, because this is an interesting shift. And I think Auroville cannot sustain itself in that format, which was already a certain achievement, a great achievement. The city is in the place, but the content is not yet there. So we kind of move to the world, collect everything the best. We have to bring again the best elements of humanity. Auroville is a laboratory, as Mother says. Things are tried out there. All the mistakes are allowed. It's no problem. But we are trying to build up something to understand how this sustainable society, contemplative society, could work. By the way, the word sustainable is misleading to me, or to a certain extent. It speaks about something static, though we are constantly changing. And by changing ourselves, we change the world. We can't wake up in the same world tomorrow. It will be another world. So to accept that dynamism of moving forward, that evolution of consciousness, maybe that is the good way to define sustainability. If we grow to what we have, or to preserve what is done, it's not enough. So Auroville, the city of dawn, city of Sri Aurobindo, what can be more beautiful? And it's the beginning. Mother says it's the project of the Lord. Nobody can stop it. People were coming complaining, what are we doing? Look how much money we wasted. She says, don't worry, it's the project of the Lord. Look how much consciousness you wasted. Thank you.